Women, Community, and Web3. Hola, my name is Marisa Estrada, aka Ritzy Periwinkle. I am founder of Ritzy Periwinkle, senior creative director of Angles, host and producer of Word to Your Mama podcast, and equity partner of Hola Metaverso. In 2020, I was a Wonder Woman tech speaker, and I spoke on creativity, technology, and legacy. Now, I'm not going to redo the entire talk. A lot of things have changed in the past 2 years, but my history remains the same. I am first generation Latina, Mexicana, raised 2 exits away from the border in South San Diego. Saw education as my way out of the small-minded town. I'm first in my family to attend and graduate college. I entered the music industry, left my high-paying job in 2006 to start Ritzy Periwinkle, and during that time, I accidentally fell into the art world. Now, let's keep it 100, shall we? Every industry, almost every industry that we enter is going to be male-dominated, right? And coming from the music industry, especially during those times, late 90s, early 2000s, it was definitely male-dominated, and I was the only one or one of few. And at the beginning of my music industry career, I worked in hip-hop, so I purposely dress baggy, dress down, kind of dress like a dude so that I wouldn't appear to have, quote unquote, slept my way up the ladder. Of course, that didn't work. It didn't make a difference, but those are the types of links that we would go through to try to make it in these male-dominated industries. There was a lot of gatekeeping back then because of the only can be one mentality, train of thought. And why would you help your competition try to take you out if there was only that one spot? It was definitely the crabs in the barrel mentality. There was no real sense of community. Most of us were just trying to survive. And if we encountered other women, then we would, bond, basically trauma bond. And it was just kind of survival of the fittest, really. So I was fortunate enough to have both men and women that reached out and saw my strengths and helped me grow and shine. And to them, I will forever be grateful and have always really tried to pay it forward. So now, how did I even enter Web3? I owe it all to a podcast episode, a Twitter space, and a Google meeting. Let me explain. So in 2020, it was about to be an amazing year for both my husband and I. We work for ourselves, and most of our clients are live music, live event based. So in January 2020, I had just come off of working on the Land Rover 4x4 Fest. Then the pandemic hit, and we immediately had to pivot. But pivot to what? So I did what most of us did. I found clients in other industries. I did projects that I swore I would never do. And I did projects at a severely discounted price so that I could provide for my family during those crazy, uncertain times. Then in early 2021, a couple of my white artist friends who are very well known in the scene shared that they were going to come out with an NFT. They didn't really understand what an NFT was at the time, but another company was going to help them release it. So my friends and I were like, what are NFTs? So I did a deep dive into the rabbit hole to find out what exactly Web3, blockchain, and everything else was. And it was an entire new world, and I continued to research, and I nerded out, and I wanted to find every single bit of information that I could. So pre-pandemic, I listened to a lot of podcasts, but during the pandemic, I listened to even more. So October of 2021, I listened to the episode of Tim Ferriss, and it was episode 542, Chris Dixon, Naval Ravikant, The Wonders of Web3, How to Pick the Right Hill to Climb, Finding the Right Amount of Crypto Regulation, Friends with Benefits, and the Untapped Potential of NFTs. That is the full-blown title of that episode. It is long. It is 2 hours and 31 minutes, but I broke it up into pieces and I listened to it while I was like cooking or cleaning. And they broke down the history of Web 1, 2, 3, the potentials, the current downfalls. They get into DAOs, which are decentralized autonomous organization. And I left that episode inspired and intrigued. So during that time, also Clubhouse was a thing. Do you guys remember Clubhouse? And I was like, ugh, I couldn't do it. It wasn't for me. And then I saw that Twitter was coming out with Twitter Spaces. And I was like, maybe still not for me. But then it was for me. And the very first Twitter Space that I entered, it was Latinos and they were talking about Web3. I was given the opportunity to go on stage, get the mic, and I asked, who are the Chris Dixon and Naval Ravikants of the Latinx, Latina world? And they started talking about, founders of certain organizations. And one of the guys in the Twitter Space, Ozzy, was sharing how he had an idea for a Web3 educational and community building event. Something smaller than a regular convention that would allow for more opportunities to network and build and grow. And he was asking how he should go about finding his team. So fast forward, he asked a few of us to join his Google meeting to share his deck of ideas. So I joined this meeting and I was the only woman there. It was all dudes. It was all guys and it was all Latinx, Latina men. And I thought, ugh, great, tech bros. And even worse, Latinx, Latina tech bros. And I admit I was totally generalizing and stereotyping. But I stuck around to be nice. I didn't want to be rude. And I was pleasantly surprised at Ozzy's vision for Hola Metaverso. From jump, women were front and center and not your typical few token women sprinkled throughout the event. So, I learned by doing, and I wanted to learn as much as possible so that I could make an informed decision of how to properly enter the space, either with a new business or pivot my current business or maybe my art even. So I said yes to be a part of the team to bring his vision of in real life and virtual Web3 educational and community building events to life. We started planning via Google Meetings and Twitter Spaces in January of 2022. We had our first event in Los Angeles in April, and I just got back from Bogota, Colombia for our second event. According to Latinos in Tech, an amazing organization, by the way, women comprise only 28% of the tech workforce in the United States. And only 27% of female professionals have been involved in starting Web3 related projects or businesses. Community is a buzzword of the moment, just like inclusion. Many talk about it, few really mean it. And I can't remember who tweeted this the other day, but they said something to the effect of, many of you talk about community, but all you really want is an audience. Facts. So community is how I survived the last 2 years. Community is also what I feel is at the core of tech and Web3 right now. We are aware of the need to onboard women into those spaces. We are here experiencing Wonder Woman tech because of Lisa Mae Bronson's vision of community in tech, with intersectionality being at the core of everything that they do. I am part of Hola Metaverso, and we continue to grow because of the need of community. We have full panels that are majority women just because it happens to be that way. Just like, every conference you've ever been to, besides this one, of course, where all the panels are all majority men all the time. That is changing. I really feel that Web3 adoption is critical to the advancement of women. For far too long, women, along with other marginalized communities, have been left behind with little to no access to new technologies. Well, that all is changing. And I want us to not only be a part of the conversation, I want us to create the conversation. And Web3 can allow that for sure. You don't need to be a developer or a programmer to be part of the space. All you need is passion and drive. You can be a community builder, a designer, a lawyer, a publicist, so many different things. You just need to take your current set of skills and apply them because business is business. There are no experts in the field. So if anyone tells you they're an expert, it's total BS. Things are always evolving quickly in Web3, and we're all learning together, and that's really one of the beautiful things. I found my Web3 community via Twitter Spaces. We've grown our audience via Twitter Spaces, and it is full of women at all levels in their journey. In most Twitter spaces, you'll find women from all over the world sharing stories and sharing their knowledge. And I don't have to search this time, ladies. We are all right there. We meet via Twitter, online, in different places. We create these bonds, and then we meet in real life at Web3 events all around the world. And there has really been a shift, and I love what I'm witnessing. I also find it interesting that something that is so tech forward like Web3 is bringing more people together in real life to strengthen that sense of community. Because we all search for it and we all crave it. It's like a basic human need. We need to invest in each other, ladies. I have met a lot of amazing women over the past year on this Web3 journey. The community is all there, all willing to share what they know and pay it forward. There are great Web3 organizations and projects that their mission is to help onboard women and other marginalized communities. So, in closing, I want to leave you with a couple of African proverbs. First one, if you educate a man, you educate an individual. But if you educate a woman, you educate a nation. Second, and this one really speaks to the sense of community. If you want to go quickly, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. That's how important community is. Let's go far. The revolution is female. We all know it to be true. Let's go far, ladies. Let's change those stats that I mentioned earlier. The power is within all of us. Sí se puede. Let's learn, connect, and build. Let's go far together. I believe it to be true. So there you have it. I'm Marisa Estrada, aka Ritzy P. Please feel free to email me, DM me, smoke signal me, whatever. If you have any questions, I'll be more than willing to help. And if I don't know something, I will do my best to point you in the right direction. I also want to say gracias to Lisa Mae Brunson and her amazing team for this opportunity. And muchísimas gracias to you all. And thank you for your time.